So, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been out for about a week now, and I gotta spend quite some time with it. A little over 30 hours, in fact. So far, I'm still having fun, still going through the early game content, but I'm calling it right now. AC Valhalla is overflowing with content that I know eventually I'm gonna get sick of it. Similar to what I felt with a previous title, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. First 10 or so hours locked me into Norway, giving me a hefty amount of time to get accustomed with the series. See, at its core, Valhalla is almost the same game as the last two Assassin's Creed titles. It's an open-world pseudo-RPG with its stealth roots still intact. You roam the open world, sneak around, gather collectibles and resources, do side quests in between the story quests, climb tall places to synchronize and reveal more things on the map. Yes, this is a Ubisoft game, and you do Ubisoft things. The phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, taken to a whole new level. That doesn't mean Valhalla isn't trying to have or gain its own identity though. For one thing, they took out the naval combat, which to be honest, is a good idea. Naval battles in Odyssey were so frequent it burned me out before I finished it. Instead here, sticking with a Viking theme, there are raids. There are small settlements and monasteries marked on the map. After leaving for England, players will have a settlement of their own. And in order for it to grow, you need to gather supplies and raw materials. Where and how do you get them? Through raids. Large-scale battles that can be initiated by invading the settlement shores, then powering your way through the church and looting the town's treasures. You could also travel by foot, and once you get to the area, you could just use an item to summon your Viking brethrens, but it just doesn't feel as good as when you are on a long ship. Now, the raids are repeatable for each of the monasteries that you'll visit, though there's really not much point since the treasures don't respawn. All of the bugs I encountered so far were during the raids. The large chests required 2 people to open, and sometimes my Viking AI companions refused to help me. And also, there's this one.
Sorry, my bad.
That being said, I was expecting a sort of honor system endgame, with a trailer a few months ago portraying the Vikings as honorable warriors just trying to claim a piece of land in England. Sadly, there's none. You'll get desynchronized if you kill too many civilians during a raid. That's it. They could have done so much more. After starting the game, I was given 4 difficulty settings to choose from for Valhalla's combat, stealth, and exploration. The first 2 is gonna depend on how much challenge people want in the game, so to each his own, I guess. What I would strongly recommend though, is to set the exploration setting to Pathfinder mode. This will, to some degree, make exploration feel more natural. It gets rid of the feeling of holding a checklist of places to go to, or like having an itinerary. I think they had this in Odyssey already, but I chose to ignore it. The end result was me feeling like the exploration was a chore. It's a good thing they're upfront about these settings at the beginning. Also, just because something is revealed on the map doesn't mean it's out in the open. Sometimes it's behind barricaded doors and you have to find another point of entry. Sometimes when you reach the golden dot on the map, you'll see that the thing you're looking for is several feet underground, and you have to figure out how to get there. What's noticeable early on is the change in combat. The Assassin's Creed series has been known to borrow its combat system from what's currently popular at the time. Prior to their rendition of Witcher 3's swordplay with Origins and Odyssey, they were using a less snappier parry and dodge mechanic from the Arkham series. In Valhalla, they managed to pull off this casualized version of Sekiro's combat that for the most part does the trick. Attacking, blocking, and dodging uses stamina, although you don't lose stamina whenever you land a hit. Well-timed parries drain the enemy's stamina, and when depleted, leaves them open to stun attacks that are usually enough to finish off regular opponents. If a player loses all of his stamina, you can't block or dodge until it goes completely full again. Enemies can still attack you repeatedly during this time, but unless you're fighting someone twice your power level, there's no way they can one-shot you. But it's not actually the mechanics that make it any good, in my opinion. It's the animation that comes along with it. Every swing of my axe feels like it actually connects. The enemy soldiers stagger differently depending on where and how I attack them, if I'm using a light or heavy attack. You can even break their shields to set them up for a stun attack, and of course, those sweet kill animations the franchise is known for. Since I mentioned power levels a little while ago, let's talk about the skill system a little bit. Skills and abilities are now separate. Abilities are now alongside the collectibles that you need to find in the open world before you can actually use them. Sometimes they can even be rewards from NPCs. Bottom line is, you don't get them by leveling up. Due to this, the skill tree, for the most part, are composed of passive skills. It's actually more of like a circular grid now, with several interconnected webs with one active skill in the middle, with passive skills surrounding it. Inside this grid, there are 3 separate skill trees, namely the bear, the wolf, and the raven. These threw me off because I thought that each tree specializes in a particular playstyle, like the bear for example, focusing more on melee, but they're not. It's tied more to which armor set or weapon you want to use. Each tree has a skill to increase your melee, range, and assassination damage. It's just a matter of what active skills you want to unlock. There are no penalties in resetting the skills too, so you don't have to worry about gimping your character with a horrible build. Now, the power levels increase every time you use a skill point. You gain 2 skill points every time you level up, and there are side activities that reward players with skill points as well. Power levels are actually the basis of how difficult a part of the map is going to be for the players to tackle, as it displays what level is recommended for each areas. Of course, since this is an open world and you can go anywhere, players looking to get their armor upgrades early or those wanting a challenge can enter the high power level zones early on. A bit of an issue I have with the passive skills is that the assassination damage is part of it. And we're not talking about huge leaps in damage here, we're talking about small incremental increases, so I can't really tell who I'm gonna be able to take down until I test it out. Personally, I like to do a bit of everything, so what I did is spread out my skill points almost evenly. So as of right now, I'm not having any problem, but later on I might struggle a little bit using a jack of all trades build. So props to the devs for not monetizing the skill reset option. Side activities are plentiful and diverse, though unsurprisingly a lot of them are repetitive. They range from simple fetch quests to hunting legendary animals. There's even a medieval rap battle called Flighting that improves charisma and occasionally unlocks an extra dialogue option on some conversations. Yeah, tons of stuff to get you distracted. On a few occasions I came across some unique enemies that are clearly way above my power level. Players have the freedom to try and take them on, but this isn't a tough but fair kind of challenge. It's more of a 2 spear stabs and you're dead kind of challenge. So parry at the wrong time, dodge at the wrong time, and you're done. And as stubborn as I am, I kept on trying to beat them, but clearly it's not meant to be. One annoying thing they decided to add back to the game are those shanties from Assassin's Creed 4. Now they're tattoos, but you get them the same way. They're flying papers that you have to chase around before they fly back to their original location. I've never been a fan of these because I find free running on different directions inconsistent when it comes to input. Like sometimes you want to keep running on the rooftops, but there's a haystack below, so you do a leap of faith instead. I was thinking about doing a complete review, but after taking a look at the map of England, I don't think I'm even halfway done. And at my current pace, I think this game will probably keep me occupied until mid-December. Just in time for another hyped up AAA title, and we'll talk about that soon. So, what are my overall thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I'd say it's a proper AAA open world title, and another solid addition to the franchise. It's by no means a game changer. The series has always been resting on that comfortable spot between a good game and an excellent one, never reaching Skyrim levels of greatness or more recently Red Dead Redemption 2, but they should be. Obviously, the people at Ubisoft Montreal are a group of very talented people and that they know how to create beautiful wide open worlds, but they still need to work on the things they put in it. For as long as I can remember, every beginning of my playthroughs with Assassin's Creed games have always been excellent, but it all ends up with me having a bad exit experience due to the sheer volume of busy work these games hand out. And with Valhalla, I really have a gut feeling that nothing has changed.